is everyone doing today on this beautiful Thursday? I hope everyone is doing great. I'm personally doing excellent. I just did breath work, and I found that breath work is such an amazing way to keep your energy level high. And if you start your morning with breath work, I can assure you it sets your morning to a completely different level. So I highly recommend that. I mean, I do it whenever I can, but if you do it in the morning, it really sets the tone to your day. So how is everyone doing today? Today is a very special live because I'm going to be talking about the big P. For me, this big P, which is procrastination, is one major reason why I am doing all of this, because that used to be me. I used to be probably the biggest procrastinator on earth. So, well, no studies have been done there, but you know. So this is what I'm going to be talking about. That's the main topic. And I'm going to be discussing three things. I'm going to be explaining to you really how procrastination works and where it comes from. You know, why do we procrastinate? And then there are very specific types of procrastination. So I'm going to talk about those as well. And I'm going to also talk about the most important thing that you can start doing today to get out of that procrastination cycle if you are a procrastinator like I used to be. So these are the topics for today. I hope you will like them. I hope you stick to the end, because at the end of the live, I have an invitation for you. We're going to be together for around maybe 45 to 50 to 60 minutes, depends. But between those two times, 45 to 60 minutes. So stick to the end. At the end, I have an invitation for you. Wait for it and you'll know what it is. So, as I said, I am, or I used to be, cancel that, I'm not anymore. I used to be one of the biggest procrastinators I have ever met in my whole life. Well, and I've met me several times, obviously. And I didn't realize actually that I was procrastinating. I didn't even know what the meaning of the word was until I figured out that I was doing that. Can you believe this? I mean, the first time I heard the word procrastination, I actually had to look it up. But I realized that I was one. So what I used to do, and that's like years ago, I used to always have those genius ideas. I used to come up with those amazing ideas to do. And I am, now when I talk about the types of procrastinations, you will know what I mean. But because I'm not, well, not now, but I used to be a chronic procrastinator, and I'll explain that later. But when you are a chronic procrastinator, basically this is kind of a very deeply rooted sort of procrastination. And that was me. I used to be that person. I used to be that person who would always, like, I would come up with those insane ideas, beautiful ideas. I mean, I tell you, if I put them to life today, they would be like amazing. And with all this amazingness and with all this, like, you know, beauty to what I was putting together, I never managed to bring those ideas to life and to bring those ideas to fruition. I would always reach a point where I would sabotage myself, or I would sabotage the idea, or I would just completely stop. Out of nowhere, like with zero reasons, with and it was always like amazing to me because I would always also find another idea to work on. I was so resourceful when it came to ideas. And I was even resourceful when it came to finding people to actually help me execute. So the problem was not with that. The problem was something within me, something that was causing me to eventually stop. And I realized last time when I'm wearing these, they make a lot of sounds. So I'm going to take them off. Right. So I realized that when whenever I reach a point and my idea is like so close to becoming real, I would back out. And when I realized I was doing this throughout those few years ago, when I realized I was doing this, I stopped and I looked around and I asked myself, why? Why am I doing this? And then what I also realized is that that was a pattern. I wasn't actually doing this for the first time. You know, when I told you I went and I checked what the meaning of the word was, because somebody pointed it out to me and somebody said, hey, Maysoon, you're procrastinating. I'm like, okay, what does that exactly mean? And I had to go and look it up and figure it out. And they were right on point. I was procrastinating. I was always reaching that point and then never moving forward. The beauty of it is I was not really going backwards, but I was always going kind of in parallel, you know. So I would, like, if this idea, I would not go ahead with it, I would procrastinate on it, and then all of a sudden I would have another brilliant idea. And I would start working on that one, and the next one, and the next one. And none of these ideas, I mean, if I show you, I have a booklet. I mean, and every single idea, I have files on my laptop. Every single thing, every single idea, every single thing I thought of, I actually put it in writing. And I was so diligent about it and I wanted to do it. I was like really so focused until that, you know, minute comes when I am not there, when I'm not doing it, when I'm like completely somewhere else, when I find something new. So when I found out, I started looking back at my life on other levels, because I was doing this basically on my work level, and I was doing it mainly on my work level. And then I went backwards in time, in my own timeline, to check if this was something that I had created only there and then, or if I was doing this from before. And obviously, because I told you already that I was doing the acute procrastination. So basically, I've been doing it for years. I had been doing it for years, for ages. And I realized that even when I was working in the corporate world, I used to put myself in situations where I would procrastinate, because I would, like, if anytime I am close to becoming something big, or to take on even more responsibilities, or to move forward in my job, I would do something to sabotage this, to sabotage that step forward. And later on, when I started looking back at my life and looking at those instances, I realized that this was exactly what I was doing. I was sabotaging myself because I was procrastinating. And now procrastination has got so many underlying reasons. Procrastination is basically the end result of so many other things that are just, you know, hiding in the background. So what I did is I decided that I'm not going to do this anymore. And I decided that I'm going to figure out a way where I would stop procrastinating. And when I list later on, you know, all the things that you can do to stop procrastination, procrastinating, I will tell you which one was the one that really was my own kind of catalyst to move me out of procrastination. And because of that catalyst, I am here today. Because I decided to move out of procrastination, I'm here today. And that catalyst basically is me finding really the one thing, the one goal in my life that will really bring me the joy that I want, that will really put me in the place where I want to be. That goal that is also feasible and realistic and true to me, you know. And I will tell you why I'm telling you this, because later on when I explain the different ways, or when I give you some tips about how to get out of procrastination, you will understand this very specific catalyst, because that's one of many catalysts that you can use to get out of procrastination and start putting yourself in a place where you actually move forward rather than stand still. Because when we procrastinate, what do? We just don't do anything. We stand still. We get stuck. We become stagnant. We sit where we are, and we cannot really find the direction or how to move forward. And we keep on always coming up with those lame excuses and those also lame things to do, because, well, they were not lame, because if I tell you, if I show you all the ideas that I was coming up with and that I was hoping to do, the ideas were not lame, but the ideas were not reachable, were not doable, at least not by me and not then. Maybe today, because I am where I am today, and remember, I moved from being like this procrastinator to being this person who's actually taking action, this person who's showing up all the time, this person who's always there, who's ready to make that move, who's just actually not just ready, who's doing all that she can, all that is within her power to make that move. Now, let me tell you about basically how procrastination works and where it comes from. So, you know, first of all, when we procrastinate, if you are a procrastinator, you will know and you will understand that this is what's happening with you. First of all, it's basically how excited you are about something, and it starts from there. It starts with your level of excitement. And because there are two different types of procrastination, I'm going to mix these two because they are somehow interrelated. So when you are the acute procrastinator, and acute procrastination is basically something that's kind of like an easy fix. When you are in the acute procrastination process or status, you are actually someone who is sort of having a bad day. It may be longer than a day, but it feels like someone who is having a bad day. So once you are out of it, you get out of it actually. Versus when you are in a chronic procrastination status, when your procrastination is a chronic one, that one needs a lot more work and needs a lot more digging to understand where that procrastination is coming, where that trait is coming from, and from there you can actually start changing it, start changing that about you and about your reality and how you are living your life. So basically, people who procrastinate, this is what happens. So first of all, they start with a high level of excitement, and they are so happy, just like me when I used to make my all these big ideas, and I would go like so crazy, all in. And then what happens is we start looking for everything that is negative about the things that we want to do, or the tasks that we are having in hand, or the job that we are about to embark on. So first of all, we start very excited, and then suddenly we start looking for all the negatives. And then the minute we start looking for all the negatives, what happens is this excitement level kind of drops down, yeah? And when it drops down, you become that person who is lingering and just, I'll do this tomorrow, I'll do this later, I'll do this maybe next week. And you start pushing and pushing and pushing until one day you find yourself completely losing that interest, completely losing that whole idea, completely out of it. People lose jobs because of procrastinating. People lose family members around them because they are procrastinating. It is not a joke. It is not it is not something that we want to have in our lives. Because obviously this is how big it becomes if we let it take control. And a lot of time procrastination, unfortunately, does take control, especially in our day and age now, when everything is so fast moving, and everything is like, this constant roller coaster that we are on. If we procrastinate, we're gonna be simply left behind, because life is moving, and life will move us by without us even realizing. So what we do is we get to that place that we keep on pushing and pushing and pushing until we either don't do the idea or the task or the job at hand or whatever it is that we are procrastinating on. Or if we leave it till the very last minute, what we do is we do a very, very poor job at it. And in both cases, the result on us is going to be a result that will not be good for us. So that's how the procrastination basically works. That's how it happens. That's how it starts. Now, the two kinds of procrastination that I was talking about are the acute, which is kind of the mild procrastination kind, and the chronic. And I want to start with, should I start with the chronic? No, let's start with the acute. So, when you are an acute procrastinator, I'm going to call them this way. So the acute procrastinator and the chronic procrastinator. So if you are the acute procrastinator, how does that look like? How would you know that you are on this side of the spectrum? You are an acute procrastinator. So basically, you have a very low energy level. So your energy is always low. You feel like you can't do this, and you have a low energy. Versus when you are in the chronic, it becomes laziness. So these two are different. This is not laziness. This is just you having a low energy. And remember, the acute procrastination, it's literally like someone having, it can be considered as someone having a bad day, which can prolong from a bad, like one day to maybe a bad week, but then eventually you get out of it, right? And you do whatever is needed to be done to perform the task or get on the job that you are initially acutely procrastinating on, So, first of all, you have a low level of energy, let's put it this way. And then you can be easily emotionally triggered. So let's say, for example, let's say you have a job, right? And there's a task, there's something that you need to do in that job. And you are put in a team, right? A lot of us have to work with other people most of the time. So when we are put in teams, sometimes what happens is, if we don't like someone in that team that we are in, we could become emotionally irritated, and we don't like it. And the fact that we don't like it makes us not wanting to do the job. And when we don't want to do the job, we keep on pushing, we keep on delaying, and hence we are procrastinating, right? And then sometimes what happens also is that you put yourself in a place, you, me, or anyone who is acutely procrastinating would put themselves in a place where they have tasks that are literally following one another, like without a breather, without a break. And remember, everything that we do in life requires us to be balanced. Anything that is more than it should be or less than it should be, the result will be poor. So that's why balance is very important. So if we are working, we don't want to work to the point where we become overwhelmed or where we burn out. We want to make sure that during our day we actually have time to breathe. Like me, for example, doing my breathwork exercise before I started today. So this is for me a kind of a break, a kind of a breather during my day that allows me to bring back my energy, to bring my energy back up, you know? So it's very important not to put your tasks one after the other, after the other, after the other, because believe me, the one thing that like there are so many negative things that will happen because of that. First of all, most of your tasks will be completed not to the level that you want them to be completed to, and a lot of the results will be not up to the expectations, and you will burn out. You will reach the end of your day or week or month, for how long you are procrastinating, you will reach that time completely burnt out, and you will be stuck in that place for some time so that you can rejuvenate and regenerate your energy. So it's very important to do this, you know. Make sure that you don't go from one task to the other, to the other, to the other without having a breather in between. And then a lot of the time we procrastinate if we are placed in a, like if we are given a job that is depending on us but is not really our responsibility. So a lot of people out there, especially people who are working in the corporate world or in other types of work, what happens is when we are given tasks, usually, I mean, it's amazing if we are in love with what we do, but what I have seen, or from my experience, a lot of people work because they have to work. A lot of people don't even know why they work, but they just follow the flow. They go to work and they work and they make money because they are working. But if you stop and ask them, like, why do you work? Is this what you want to do with your life? They will probably not have an answer for you. But what happens is, if we are given a task that is not even ours, but is being dumped on us by our boss or by a colleague, or just, you know, it happens. Because this task is not really ours, we tend to procrastinate on it. Does it make sense? It makes sense, you know. Today, if I give you something to do and it's not really yours, and it's not like your priority, or it's not probably your on your own to-do list, and I'm adding it to your tasks, you won't be happy about it, and you will probably put it at the very end of your priority list. And by that, you will be procrastinating on this task specifically, because some people are expecting you to do it. If there were no expectations related to that task, it won't be really procrastinating, because you are now more interested in what is your own priority. But if this is very important, let's say for the boss, or it has, like, if you don't deliver on it, there will be consequences to that, and yet you like somehow manage to put it at the end of your list, then you are procrastinating on it. Not liking the people that you work with, I said it already, is another way of how you procrastinate. And then sometimes we are also faced with things that we have to do, or tasks that we need to do. And remember, here I'm still talking about acute procrastination, right? Because chronic procrastination is way much deeper than this. So sometimes we are put we are given tasks that we don't even like to do. Like for me, if you tell me that I have to iron, I will procrastinate on this forever. Because it's something that I really, really don't like to do. And what I do is I try to get everything that I wear, I try to get it with like a wearable without having to be ironed. But this is me. So this is a task that I don't really like. And if someone tells me that now I have to iron, I will probably not be happy and I will probably procrastinate on it. But this is like, again, acute procrastination. So it's not something that is related to my being, to my existence, to my mission on this planet. Okay? It is something that is simple, that can be done later, or that can be, that does not have bad consequences, like in general. Okay? And then all these reasons together, if they are combined, obviously, they make us in a place where we are doing what we call acute procrastination, when we are in that space, right? So that's the acute procrastination. Now, acute procrastination is very simply and easily resolved and sometimes it's as simple as, you know what? It's okay. I can stop doing this task now and I'll just simply do it tomorrow, and I will do it tomorrow. It's sometimes that simple. But it's also, there's other ways, and I will tell you about these. I'll give you a lot of tools today so that you can start, moving out of that. If you are a procrastinator and if you are stuck somewhere, I want to give you some tools today that will get you out of that space and that will put you in a place where you can start moving forward instead of just being stagnant and being stuck where you are. Now, to move to the chronic procrastination, which is what I personally had. And just so you know, procrastination is not a disease, and it's not something that you can be diagnosed with, right? So I didn't go to a psychologist or to anyone or a therapist or anything and told them, okay, this is what's happening. What is happening to me? No. I figured it out on my own because my friend told me, like, Maysoon, you're procrastinating. And I'm like, okay, hang on, what is that? And I went and I figured it out and I studied it and I understood what it is and where it comes from, and I came up with my own way of getting out of it. I developed a whole program to get out of this of this thing, because when you are in the chronic procrastination, so when you're a chronic procrastinator like I was, that's when it becomes very it affects your life in a really drastic way. I'm not gonna say dramatic. I'm just gonna say drastic. So the way it affects it is very heavy. So basically, when you are a chronic procrastinator, the one major thing that I discovered that leads you to become a chronic procrastinator is fear. And fear is a is a small word, right? It's like fear, four letters word, right? And yet, it is such a limitation when you have it and when you are faced with it. And that for me was the main trigger that pushed me to get out of my procrastination, because I realized that this is what I had. I was afraid. I was scared. Remember, I told you all the ideas that I came up with were like really big ideas. So I wanted to do my own TV show. I wanted to do my own podcast that is related to biking. And if you don't know, I'm a biker. And those of you who have seen the pictures on the group, they would know that I am a biker. And I wanted to do a course about biking on how to help women, be able to ride. And I'm gonna still do this course, but not yet. But when I was thinking of all these thoughts, when I was having all these thoughts, when I really wanted to do all these thoughts, they were not reachable. They were not, they are possible, obviously, because to me, there's nothing called impossible. Everything is possible. The minute you work on your mindset and you decide that you want to do something, everything is within your grasp if you want it. Everything. So you can get anything that you want if you want it enough and if you are in the right mindset. But this is something different. And I'm going to have, probably I will have another video or another training to talk about mindset and how important it is to shift your mindset. I will do that maybe next week or the week after. But for now, what's important for you to know is that there's nothing that is impossible. There are a lot of limitations that we face in our lives, and this is what, and those limitations, I'm talking here specifically about the limitations that we put for ourselves. Whether we do it consciously or subconsciously, that's another story. So what happens is, when we are going through anything in our life, there is something that will hold us back. There is something that will stop us. There is something that will guide us in a different direction. And those things that will hold us back and stop us and maybe guide us in a different directions, these are our limiting beliefs. I call them our limitations, but basically they are our limiting beliefs. These are beliefs that we are either born with because we've inherited them from either our own family or even from society. I mean, there are a lot of beliefs out there that are not even our own. We just inherit them because they are group consciousness. Everybody does it this way. So we just kind of follow the flow, But these are limitations. They are probably not letting us or not allowing us to go forward in our life or to do something even better with our life just because we have that limiting belief. And you know what? The beautiful thing about it is that everything that is limiting us can be worked on and can be removed. We can remove literally every single limiting belief that we have. It's not a joke. We can remove every limiting belief that we have. The minute we realize, first of all, that we have it, and then we want to work on it. We want to understand where it's coming from. We want to understand why we have it, and we want to find the right way to remove this limiting belief and replace it. We're removing it and we're replacing it with beliefs or new programs that will work for our benefit, that will support us with what we are doing today, here and now. The fact that our limiting beliefs have started with us since we were like just newborn, or maybe we develop them, usually we develop them as we are between the age of 2 and 8. We develop limiting beliefs because what we are doing is we are just absorbing everything from all around us, and we're unable to weigh and figure out what works and what doesn't work for us. So basically we absorb everything, including the limiting beliefs that our mother is imposing on us, our father is imposing on us, the society is imposing on us. Sometimes we have them in our genes. We have just inherited them from some ancestor of ours. It doesn't even have to be something that is in the family now, or something that my mom or my dad or anyone close to me or within my circle is imposing on me. I could be having them here with me since the day I was born. But the beauty about it is that you can actually work on those limiting beliefs and you can remove them. The other thing that I realized is because my chronic procrastination back then, I was putting very high goals compared to what I was able to do or what I was able to actually achieve at that time. So for me, at that time, for example, when I wanted to do that TV program, I had zero connections. I didn't know who to reach out to. And it was really very like, I've never, I mean, okay, I've studied something related to radio, TV, film, and theater and acting, but I never went in that direction. I never stood before the camera and you know, gave, did a program, even though I'm doing it now, but you know, step by step, this is kind of different. But and I truly believe that this is even more difficult because I'm not just, you know, presenting a program. I'm actually sharing my learnings. I'm actually sharing parts of my life, which for me, it's even, you know, more sensitive possibly and even more vulnerable. But I'm happy to do it. And I'm because I stopped procrastinating. That's why now I'm able to do this, because I fixed it. I figured it out. The other thing that a chronic procrastinator does or has is laziness. Remember when I said that when you are an acute procrastinator, what you actually have is a low energy. But when you are a chronic procrastinator, it's actually laziness. It's you really not wanting to do the job. Is you sitting there and just, you know, literally being lazy. Nothing more, nothing less. As simple as that. Yeah? And then a chronic procrastinator usually has a very, very unhealthy lifestyle. And I remember at that time I also had an unhealthy lifestyle. I would connect day and night, and I would, you know, just go out of my way to do so many things at the same time. And that's also another reason why you can be a chronic procrastinator, is just doing a million things at the same time. And that's also one trait from the acute procrastinators, people who multitask. They think they are multitasking, but they're not really, you know. So unless obviously if it's something like that's running on autopilot in your subconscious mind, and like me, for example, now talking and breathing at the same time, I don't call that multitasking, but it is kind of multitasking because my body is breathing and I am doing this live with you today. Now, and then when you are having a lifestyle that is so hectic and so chaotic, and at the same time you have a million things to do, you tend of not finishing most of them, right? I mean, it's common sense, right? If you have 100 things to do and you have a capacity, you have 24 hours in one day, and you have 7 days a week, and you have 365 days a year. So, and you know, obviously you need to sleep, and you need to rest, and you need to eat, and you need to, see your friends, and you need to do a lot of things other than just working or doing the things that you are procrastinating on. One more thing about being a chronic procrastinator. When you are a chronic procrastinator, what happens usually is that you kind of always look for the tasks that you have zero skills for. Does that resonate with you? Look at everything that you are doing and check this out. See if you are actually having the skills that you need to perform on any specific task or any specific idea that you have in your mind, or any specific task that you put for yourself or that people put for you. Do you really have the skills? Because if you don't have the skills, my friend, you're gonna procrastinate for sure. You know, that's when you are a chronic procrastinator. And the trait that I was very, very famous for, everybody used to tell me, oh, Maysoon, you're such a perfectionist. You want everything to be perfect, everything to be to the dot, everything to be put in place, right, clean, tidy. You know, everything had to be like this for me. So I was a perfectionist And that's true. At the time, I was. And that's why I was also procrastinating. Because every time I would come out with something amazing and big, I would look at it and I would see, no, maybe it needs a little bit something more here, and a bit more here, and a bit more here, you know? And I was simply procrastinating because I was thinking from that perfectionist mind. So these are the two types of procrastination. The acute, which would seem like kind of you're having a bad day or a bad week or even maybe a bad month, but then after that you will go back to your nature and live your life normally without really pushing things away. Or maybe when those tasks are over, you just move forward and you forget about whatever you were procrastinating on. That's when you are in the acute procrastination situation or shoes. When you are in the chronic procrastination spectrum, let's call it this way, that is more serious, and you want to work deeper on the issues that you have. Remember, like for me, I was afraid. I had fear controlling me. And I worked so much on my fears. Not just one, I had several fears. A fear of, talking and being seen and having that assertiveness. Assertiveness is something very important when you are a procrastinator. You actually don't have it. You're not assertive. You're not assertive enough to go out there and do the thing that you want to do. So you procrastinate on it. Now, these are the types. What to do about it? And there are very simple things that you can do now, today, to stop procrastinating. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools specifically for the acute procrastination, so that you can get out of it like here and now, on the spot, right? The first thing that you want to do is you want to start. And believe me, it is as simple as that. The minute you start, it's kind of like, when you have a snowball and you start with a very small snowball and you just roll it on the snow and it becomes that huge, big snowball, right? That's exactly how it works. You just press that start button. And the minute you start, it just flows. So that's one of the things that you can do to stop procrastinating on something simple, like we're talking about the acute procrastination, right? The other thing that you can do right here, right now, is to split your tasks into smaller tasks. Like if your task needs to take 2 days, right? It needs to take 2 days, and it will take 2 days. You don't want to finish it in 1 day. So you don't want to sit there and just until it's done. No, you want to make sure that you split it into smaller tasks. And in between those tasks, you actually want to jump and do something different, something else. Maybe, I don't know, fix your drawers. Maybe this is something you are also procrastinating on. So you can use the combination of these two tasks. You can put them together and you won't be procrastinating on either. So let's say I have a task that is given to me by my boss. I know it's gonna be, I really don't like doing this, but I'm gonna have to do it. The minute I start, first of all, I released like almost 50% of it. It's like almost 50% is already done. And then if I split it into smaller tasks and in between I put different tasks, or even I put healthy lifestyle parts in it. Like maybe I would work for 1 hour and then I would go, I don't know, have a walk for 10 minutes. and then come back with a fresher mind, with an easier, how do you call it? With an easier poise, with a relaxed system and a relaxed energy, and I would hit the second hour, and so on and so forth. So basically, that's number 2. And number 3, make sure that if you really feel like, okay, this is too much for you, talk to people. Talk to someone, pick up the phone, change your mood, change your perception of whatever you're working on, and just, get out of it for a second and then come back. And then, believe me, you will come back with a much higher energy. And you will see that you will finish this task if you just do these 3 things. So start, split the task into smaller tasks, okay? Take breaks. So that's already 3. And then 4, I'm giving you 1 bonus. Talk to people. Talk to your friends. Pick up the phone. Do something different, and then come back to the task. Without noticing, you will finish this in no time. If you don't believe me, try it and you will see. Right? I'm going to give you 2 more because I'm feeling generous. For example, the tasks that we usually are like, oh my God, do I have to do this now? Is, for example, us, for example, for me, I take my vitamins, I take vitamins every day. So every day, if I forget to do it at night, I wake up in the morning and I'm frazzled. I don't like to do it in the morning because it takes from my morning time. So what I do is I prepare them beforehand. I prepare them the night before so that I don't get, not happy in the morning because I have to do this. That is one thing. For example, what you want to wear to go to work, prepare it the day before. So these are just simple tips to give to you, like your schedule, for example. Put that task on your schedule before you start on it, the day before you start. Make sure it's there on your schedule, that it's there. And the one thing that I want to remind you of, procrastination is not about time management. However, it is about a different kind of management. It's about you managing your energy level. Which brings me to the 3rd thing that I want to give you today, which the 6th. I gave you 6 things, so 2 3s. The 6th tip that I want to give you if you are an acute procrastinator today is to make sure that you do your tasks. You notice, when you wake up in the morning, or do this as an exercise. For one day, monitor yourself and find in your day what are your peak energy times. So for example, for me, my peak energy is in the afternoon, and this is why I do my lives at 5 p.m. in the afternoon, because this is when my peak energy is. I don't do my lives in the morning. I like my mornings to be relaxed and smooth. I have energy, but it's a different kind of energy. My creativity and my peak energy is in the afternoon. Actually, my creativity is at night. My peak energy, I'm very energetic, that's in the afternoon. My creativity is when I want to write, when I want to prepare content, when I want to put classes together, when I put content together for my course or for anything that's important. I do it at night because this is where my creativity kicks in. So notice your day. During your day, figure out when your peak energy times are, and do your tasks, especially the ones that you are procrastinating on, during those times, during your peak energy times. And that's what I mean when I say procrastination is not about time management, it's about energy management. So when you know when during the day when you are energetic, when your energy is at its peak, this is when you want to do your tasks which you are procrastinating. Does that make sense? And do it. I mean, these are amazing tips. Enjoy them, use them, and let me know actually how they work for you. I would love to know how they work for you, because for me, they were amazing when I used to procrastinate on the small tasks, and when I used to, even now, I mean, I can, like, I do not, what do you call it? Like, I'm honest enough to say that I still procrastinate on the small stuff, that I still sometimes stand in the shoes of the acute procrastinator, because sometimes some tasks are really not on my priority list and I allow myself to procrastinate on them. But again, I am the boss of me. I don't have anyone bossing me around. I don't have, my work is my own. So I know when to procrastinate and when not to procrastinate. And I know now, because I've been through the process, because I've worked so much on myself and I've worked so hard on myself for years. It's not something that I changed overnight, believe me. But if you want to change overnight, you can, the minute you understand what is the trigger, what is the main problem. So for me, when I understood that fear was my main issue, I worked on my fear. I did not work on my procrastination. I worked on my fear, because this was the problem. This was where my whole procrastination journey started. And the minute I got out of that fear, the minute I resolved that fear, which was a limiting belief that I had, I am out of it. I'm in a different place now. And you can do the same thing. It's not like I'm not unique. I'm as ordinary as can be. Believe me, people. I'm just like you. And maybe one day I was, not maybe, for sure. If you are here today, it's because you know what I'm talking about, and you are and you are where I was. That's why you are here today. That's why you're watching this. That's why you're in this group. Because you want to know how to get out of these situations. Now, when you are in a chronic situation, when you are in a chronic, like a chronic procrastinator, first of all, you want to overcome that fear. That's number one, especially if you have it. And most chronic procrastinators have that limiting belief, which is the limiting belief of fear. And fear is not just fear of failing. Some people have fear of success, because success comes with, like, this is what I had. Because success comes with a lot of responsibility. It's not just like I'm successful, hey, yeah. There is a lot of work that falls behind success. And that happens in the background, and that happens in the backstage. And what I had was the fear of that responsibility. That's why I was afraid of success. But that was in the past. It's not there anymore, because I worked on it. I worked on my limiting beliefs. And to work on your limiting beliefs, obviously, these are things that I cannot teach you here, because these are matters that would need maybe private sessions, maybe even not maybe, just sometimes we do have to take private sessions in order to get over fear. But there are lots of things that we can do, programs that we can work on, tasks that we can do, and I have all of these, and they are part of the program that I give, to get out of those limitations that we create for ourselves, fear being one of them. Then, after we work on our fear, we want to make sure that we do also work on our assertiveness. So we are more assertive, we know, and we just go for it, you know. The other thing is we want to fix our lifestyle. Remember, because we said we are lazy, and we have this lifestyle that doesn't work properly for us. So fixing the lifestyle is very important as well. And these are three major things that we can do. And I'm going to give you three more just because I feel very generous today. We want to work on our skills. So let's say, for example, if with my previous ideas, the idea of me having that TV show without having the right skills, this is what stopped me, and including my fear, obviously. So I want to work on finding the right skills and, getting those skills, putting those skills to action, becoming that person who has those skills so that I can actually do the things that I want to do for myself. And then I want to make sure, this is a very big one when you are a chronic procrastinator, you want to make sure that what you are passionate about is actually real. Because a lot of people have kind of fake passions. So right now I can't give you an example because that was not me. I didn't have a fake passion, because I still have that passion of being on TV, of talking to people, of helping people, of being of service. That's my passion. That's not a fake passion. But a lot of people out there have actually fake passions. So you want to make sure that your passion is a real passion. It is something that really talks to you. It is something that you really, really, from the bottom of your heart, you want to do. Right? So that's the one thing. That's the fifth thing. And the last but not least, which is work on your perfectionism. And how do you want to work on your perfectionism? Is basically, you want to monitor yourself. You want to see if you are asking for perfection. And if you are asking for perfection, the minute you become aware, and believe me, awareness, and I'm going to talk about this when I do the mindset training, because awareness is also half of the solution, half of the problem solved when you realize that you have a problem, right? The minute you realize you have a problem, you've actually solved 50% of the problem, believe it or not, but it's true, right? So for perfectionism, it's very important that you monitor yourself, that you start looking at yourself and how you are doing things. Am I looking for everything to be perfect on the dot and, everything is in its place? If I am, that means I am procrastinating. So the minute I'm aware of this, I would let it go, let it pass, just work on fixing that. Leave it, let it go. And when I say fixing that, I mean fixing your procrastination, right? So let it go. It's fine. We all do mistakes, right? So those are the 6 things that you can do to stop or to work on your chronic procrastination. So to recap, here's what we did today. We talked about why procrastination happens, okay, and how it looks like, obviously, because a lot of people don't even know how it looks like and how it works. Then I talked to you about the 2 types of procrastinations that are out there. Well, procrastination. So the chronic, the acute, basically, which is the mild one, and the chronic procrastination, which is the severe kind of procrastination. And I gave you a lot of tools to stop both. But obviously the chronic procrastination needs a different kind of or a different level of work, while the acute procrastination, it's something that you can fix here and now, just if you follow those few steps that I gave you. And with that, my dear friends, we come to the end of today now, because I promised I'm going to give you an invitation, and I have an invitation for you. My invitation for you is the following. If this topic is a topic that resonates with you, and if you are in my shoes a few years ago, if you are going through an acute procrastination phase and you really don't know where to go from here, I might just be the right help for you. And if you feel like I might be able to help you, please do let me know. Type no to procrastination, even though it's big, but because this is my mantra, by the way. It's one of my mantras. I say I don't do procrastination, I don't do perfection. So for me, these are, if you want, I can write it down later on. I will write it under the video today. And just remember that if you feel like I can help you, all you need to do is write down, comment down below, say no to procrastination, and I will be more than happy to reach out to you. I will reach out to you on Messenger, so remember to always check your messages. If they go to the there's in Messenger a file that the messages go to if they are not in your contact. So, or you can do another thing actually, if you want, please feel free, add me as your friend on Facebook, and this way when I message you, the messages will reach you straight on your Messenger folder faster. So again, no to procrastination in the comments below, and I will reach out to you. We can have a call together. We'll jump on a call, and during that call, this is my invitation for you, we can jump on that free call. We'll talk about your situation, where you are today, what is happening with you, and I will give you a lot of tools and a lot of tips that will help you straight there and then start your journey of getting out of your procrastination, especially if you are in the chronic phase. And from there, if I feel like my program is the right fit for you and I can really help you move forward with my program, I will tell you what working with me looks like, and then we will take it from there. Remember, no to procrastination in the comments below, and I will also share the link of the call when I post the replay of this tomorrow. I'll share it, and if you feel like that's the right thing for you, just schedule that call with me and we'll take it from there. And with that, my dear pearls, my dear friends, I will wish you a great end of the week and an amazing weekend, and I'll see you again next week. Ciao, ciao.